devotees. Let's all clasp hands together, close eyes, bow our heads. Try to visualize the Supreme Lord in your heart, in your mind, as we seek their blessings, their guidance and protection, as we embark into divine satsang this evening. Ajnanatimirandhasya Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chetu darpan marjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam Ananda buddhivardhanam pratipadam Purnamrita swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namah Kamalna Bhaya Namah Kamalmaline Namah Kamalpadaya Namaste Kamalekshana Yo Brahmanam Virdhati Purvam Yo Vedansha Prahinoti Tasmai Daghvang Hadevam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. बोले वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, राधा रानी की जय, श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। आदरणीय पंडित जी, प्रिय सज्जनों, प्रिय भक्त समुदाय, most worshipable Pandits, the divine souls, dearest devotees of the Supreme Lord. First, let me say Radhe Radhe to each and every one, and my pranam, my humblest prostrations to all of you. A special welcome to our viewers on Sankhya TV and Bhakti TV also. I misplaced the list with the sponsors. Can someone just bring it back for me? Somehow it's misplaced. I'll of course give us the sponsors in a little while. I want to thank all the sponsors. Through their kind courtesy, we are able to bring both Sankhya TV and Bhakti TV live to you. We especially want to thank Pandit Satyanand Maharaj of the Satya Anand Ashram and his team. Panditji, of course, is the producer of Bhakti TV, the spiritual leader of the Satya Anand Ashram. So we want to thank Panditji for the wonderful job he's doing. There's so many souls are able to receive these messages throughout the world. Very special Radhe Radhe and pranam to all of you viewing us live also. Facebook, Bhakti TV, Sankhya TV, YouTube, etc. Last night at the Durga Devi Mandir, I spoke on the topic of Bhavrog. Bhavrog. Diseases of this material world, Maya. Bhava means Maya. Rog means disease. Bhavrog. What is the cause? What causes all this Bhavrog? These diseases of Maya. Main ones: greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust, selfishness, infatuation, attachment, etc. As I mentioned last night, this question was also asked in the Ramayana to Kag Basundaji by Guruji Maharaj about the diseases of Maya, the diseases of the mind. It's called Bhavarog, Manasarog, means the same thing. The mind is a product of Maya. The mind is also called Maya. So Bhavarog, Manasarog is the same thing. Kagbhasundaji mentioned many diseases, as I mentioned before. And in those he told three big ones. Kam, Vaat, Kaph, Lobha, Apara, Krodha, Pitta, Nitha, Chhati, Jara. Preeti karahi jau tinihu bhai, Upajai sanyapat dukhadai. So many diseases, but these three are the generals of Maya. Pramukh, main one. Kam means lust, desires. Lobh, greed. And Krodh, anger. Dear Tulsidas is calling these three teen bhai. Ye teen bhai, three brothers. Apriti karahi jauti nihu bhai. One who sustains these three, who loves to perform these three brothers: greed, anger, lust. To upajai sanyapat dukhadai. Sanyapat is a disease of the mind, hysteria, like makes you totally crazy. That happens to that person, and that person never experiences any happiness. Brings about all pain and suffering. These three are also called the three doorways to hell in Gita. Kam, Krodh, Lobh. Of course. How are they related, I mentioned also. Kamat krodho bhijayate. The mother of both anger as well as greed is kam, kamana, lust, desire. Gita chapter 2 verse 62. When we have a desire, when the desire comes in our mind, either the desire can be fulfilled or remain unfulfilled. When we desire is fulfilled, what happens? When our desire, we want something and it is fulfilled, this gives rise to greed, lobh, which is ever increasing and insatiable. In Bhagavad Mahapuran, it says, न जातु कामः कामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविष्या कृष्ण वर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्धते. Bhagavad Mahapuran, 9th canto, 19th chapter, 14th verse. The Bhagavad says, satisfying a desire is like pouring ghee, fuel in the fire. Like when you pour the clarified butter, ghee, into the havan. So when you pour the ghee in the beginning, temporarily that havan, the fire goes down. When we satisfy a desire temporarily, we feel okay. But then what happens? The fire gets bigger. In other words, the desire increases. The more you satisfy a desire of something or some person or object, the more you want it. It doesn't get less. It increases. And when our desires cannot be fulfilled, when we don't get what we want, somebody doesn't do as we like, our desire is not fulfilled, we get angry, krodh. And what happens when anger comes? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibramaha, smriti banshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Shri Krishna is saying to Arjun, Gita chapter 2 verse 63, from anger comes delusion, from delusion loss of memory. When we lose our memory, we lose the power to discriminate and everything is destroyed. We become an animal. Anger destroys us. Everything. So, desire, kamana, is the root cause of anger as well as greed. This is how the three are related. Now, does kamana, desire, have a root cause? Where does desire come from? How was the desire born? Where's the root cause? This also has a root cause. The root cause of desire is attachment, lagav, asakti. Somebody is sitting quietly sitting in the home, listening to some spiritual thing, doing something spiritual, or just sitting quietly, and suddenly the desire is born. I feel like drinking coffee. I feel like smoking a cigarette. I feel like drinking a Coke, soda. Suddenly. Because of our attachment to that object or person, the desire for it is born again and again. It keeps pinching you. Drink me, smoke me, smoke me. And as I mentioned last night, the more we use it, the more we want it. A person who's never drink coffee doesn't think I have to drink coffee. A person who's never smoked cigarette doesn't think I have to smoke. And somebody just drinks one cup of coffee, he's fine every day. But then there's the person who drinks every hour he wants a cup of coffee or she wants a cup of chai, tea. Without it, they feel like, oh, I can't do anything. So, attachment. This attachment is the source of all our sorrows and suffering, the root cause of all desires. But why do we get attached to any person or object? Because the decision comes in our mind, this person and this object will give me happiness. How does somebody, what we call, fall in love in the world? Whether we call it love or addiction, it's the same thing. A boy sees a girl sees a boy, and they start thinking, subtly, you don't even know in the mind, this is the boy who will make me happy, this is the girl who will make me happy. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate. Chapter 2, verse 62, Gita. Shri Krishna says, thinking again and again, bar bar, that this person, this object will make me happy, we get attached, we get addicted. Nobody is born a chain smoker. When you were young, you saw people smoking. Your father, mother, friend, somebody. The father says, hey, if you only touch the cigarette, I'll break your foot. But he's smoking. If you touch the glass of rum, I'll break your head. But he's drinking all the time. So we think, oh, this must be given happiness. Or it's a sign of being a man. In fashion. So we decide to try it. On smoking the first cigarette, you coughed and almost choked on it. But you keep smoking because you think it will give you happiness until you can't give it up. You become addicted. The nicotine. Same thing with alcohol. Nobody is born an alcoholic. As I said, you see others drinking, you think I should try it too. So you hide and take a little drink. The mind, the head spin. Then you start going every Friday with the friend to the club. Then every Monday and Friday you drink. Then every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Then every day, now you're an alcoholic. It's the same thing. Boy seeing a girl sees a boy, and thinking again and again, this is the boy who is going to make me happy. This is the girl who is going to make me happy. The decision gets firm in the mind. Then you get addicted. Now you don't want to eat food. You can't. Food is of no use. You don't like food. Does tasteless. You can't sleep until you get that boy or girl. And we say, I fell in love. Nobody falls in love. It's the same everything. For whether person or object. This decision, you see, and why, that the question comes now, why do we keep thinking some person or object will give me happiness? Because we all want happiness. You see, as I mentioned last night, we are the soul, Atma, Jeev. Mamaivansho jivaloke jiva bhutah sanatanaha. Chapter 15, verse 7, Gita. Shri Krishna says the Jivatma, the individual soul, is an eternal part, fraction of him. Sanatan. This body belongs to us. As I mentioned last night, whatever belongs to us cannot be us. Who are we? We are the soul, Atma. We've forgotten that. So Jivatma, the soul. and the soul is a fraction of God. And what is God? Who is God? Raso vai sahara sagvam hevayam labdva nandi bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad chapter 2 verse 7. The Vedas say God is bliss, happiness, ras. So because we, the individual souls, are eternal fraction of God, and it's a natural law for every part, every fraction to love its whole and want to become one with it, this means that we all love and want only God. Sounds strange. Tulsidas says in the Ramayana, अस को जीव जंतु जग माही प्रभुता पाए जाहि मद नाही जय राम अस को जीव जंतु जग माही जेहि रघुनाथ प्राण प्रिय नाही जय राम श्री राम जय जय अस को जीव जंतु जग माही जेहि रघुनाथ प्राण प्रिय नाही. In this chaupai, Tulsidas ji has referred to both the animate as well as inanimate beings. And he says that to all of them, all souls, Shri Ram, God, is as dear as life. In other words, we naturally love and want only God. We, the soul, Atma. It's impossible to find an individual soul who doesn't love and want God. Sounds strange. But this is a natural law. Being an eternal fraction, part of God, is our nature to love and want only God. Whether we're an atheist, whether we are a non-believer, or we are theists, we believe in God. Nastik ho ya astik ho. And because God is happiness, this is why we all want only happiness. This proves... You ask somebody who says, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist, Nastiku. I do not believe. Somebody made up this thing in their head. There's nothing called God or Bhagavan. Okay. Do you want pain and suffering? No. Do you want happiness, peace, comfort? Yes. Then you want God. Don't call him God, call him happiness. God has uncountable names. Call him whatever name you want. But the fact is, because we want only happiness, proves that we want and love and want only God. We cannot want any kind of pain and suffering, even if we were to try to do so for uncountable lifetimes. So we have always been searching. But we have not found anything but pain and suffering. And all because of this Bhavrog, the diseases of Maya, greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust. How did that happen? How did Maya take hold of us? And we started suffering. So last night I sang a beautiful verse from Radha Govind Geet of Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu. I'll just sing it one more time to remind us. Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe Radhe भवरोग कारण भवरोग कारण गोविंद राधे भगवत बहिर्मुख ताहे बता दे भगवत बहिर्मुख ताहे बता दे बहिर्मुख ताहे बता ओ राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 Bhavrog Karan, the cause of this Bhavrog, all the diseases of Maya that takes away all our peace and all our happiness. What is the reason, the cause for it? So Jagat Gurutam Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu says in the Radha Govind Geet, Bhagavad Bahir Mukhta hai bata de. The reason is that we have turned our backs away from God. Bahir Mukhta. This is a translation of a Ved mantra. The Vedas are saying, Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam briksham parikasva jate tayoranya pipalam swadat nashnan nanyo abhichakashiti. Shvetashvataro chapter 4 verse 6. The exact translation of this Ved mantra is given in Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran. Suparna vetau sadrishau sakhayau yadichayayitau kritanidau cha vrikshe ekastayo khadati pippalan manyo niranno pibalena bhuyan. Bhagavat Mahapuran, 11 Canto, 11 chapter, 6 verse. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says to Uddhav, this is the exact translation of that Ved mantra. Shvetashvataro Upanishad chapter 4 verse 6. The Vedas are saying the same thing Shri Krishna is saying to Uddhav. There's a tree, Briksh. On the tree there are two birds sitting. One bird is Jivatma, the individual soul, we people. And one is Paramatma, Bhagavan, God. One bird has turned the back to the other bird. Bahirmukh. One bird is eating the bitter fruits of the tree and suffering. The other bird looks on quietly, does not disturb. Just takes note of the thought and ideas and reward or punishes it accordingly. These two birds are sitting in our heart. Jivatma and Paramatma. We as well as Bhagavan, both is sitting in the heart. This is the position. This is us, Jivatma. We have turned our backs away from God. Both are sitting. Bhagavan is sitting in the heart. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe junatisthati. Chapter 18, verse 61, Gita. Shri Krishna says, God is sitting in the heart of every living being. So God as well as us. And the tree is the material world. And the fruits of the tree are the objects of the world. We are looking for happiness in the world. Instead of getting happiness, we are getting pain and suffering. And why have we turned our backs away from God? Maya. We have forgotten who we are. Main kaun hu, ye bhul gaya. We have forgotten who am I. I went in detail last night. You can see the lecture on Bhakti TV or Facebook, Radha Govind Society, in detail. We identify with the body. I'm a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jain, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, teacher, doctor, engineer, Trinidadian, Guyanese, American, Venezuelan, Indian. All titles of the body. Body belongs to us. We're not the body. We're the soul, Atma. So because from beginningless time, this has happened from beginningless time, identifying with the body, the material body, Maya has taken hold of us. Maya ne pakad liya. And so we have turned our backs away from God and searching for happiness in the material world where it cannot be found. And everyone, as I told you last night, Kag Basundaji is saying, मानस रोग कछुक में गाए है सबके लाखी बिरलन पाए जय राम श्री राम Kag Basundaji says to Guruji, Manas Roga Kachuk May Gaye. This Bhavrog, Manas Rog, I've told you many. Greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust, selfishness, delusion, infatuation, attachment, many, many. There are many more. These are only a few I have told you, Kag Basundaji says to Guruji. Aur hai sabke. Everyone under Maya, as long as we are governed by Maya, we are material souls. All of them are inside of us. All, hai sabke. But, lakhi biralan hi paaye. It's extremely difficult that we can see it. Everybody thinks, I am great, I am good, I am better than everybody else. It's very difficult for us to see how bad we are, how bad our mind is. We can see how bad everybody else is. Oh, he's like that and she's like that. I hate this person. They're the worst. These stupid people, I can't take them on. And you? I am great. We have as much fault or more than everybody else we are finding fault in. But we can't see it. Why? There's something which prevents us from seeing how bad we are. It is called ego, pride, abhiman, ahankar. It will not let us see how bad we are. The ego. The more ego we have, the more we think I am great. People test. People start thinking I am a small Bhagavan myself. Itna nasha. They become so intoxicated. Nahi ko as janma jag mahi, prabhuta pahi jahi madanahi. Tusidasji says in the Ramayana, there never was nor is, nor will there be such a person who have acquired something in excess in the world, wealth, money, possession, post, beauty, something a little more, and has not become arrogant. Jahi madanahi. It brings arrogance. This is why the Bible says it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Of course, no Christian understands this. They quote it, but they don't understand. Or else the pastor would not say to anybody, if you accept Christ, you'll become a billionaire. He's telling you, in effect, you will never go to God. Nobody understands. He's also trying to become a billionaire. So all the diseases, as long as we are on Maya, all greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, all. We can't see doesn't mean it's not there. Only when we start becoming spiritual, actually when we take shelter in a true saint, a true guru, through the grace of the guru, we start realizing how bad I am. My God, my mind is so dirty. Every moment, instead of thinking about the Lord, instead of thinking about my guru, I'm thinking nasty, dirty things. All I can think about how bad people are, negative thoughts, and material things and material sensual objects. That's all I think about. It's a great grace, great grace, when we can look and see how bad we are, instead of seeing how bad everybody else is. I mentioned last night detail also. So, Bahiramukta. The reason for the Bhavrog, all the diseases of Maya that affects us and has given us so much pain and suffering and is cause for us to be rotating in 8.4 million forms of life is Maya. Maya has taken hold of us. Made us forgotten who we are because we turned our back. Now what is the cure? What is the cure? What is the Aushadhi? The medicine to cure the Bhavrog, the diseases of Maya, diseases of the mind. The Vedas tell us, first to begin, Tamev viditvat mittumeti nanya pantha vidyate yanai. Shvetashvatara Upanishad chapter 3 verse 8. The Vedas say, only by knowing God, Shri Krishna, can the individual soul become free from Maya. There is no other way. We have to know God. And how are we going to know God? So the Vedas tell us, Te tva mada indamadayantu shushminam tu viradhasam jaritte eko devatra dayase. Rigved. The Vedas say the moment we completely surrender to God, to Shri Krishna with complete faith. God is saying, the moment you completely surrender to me with complete faith, I will free you from the ocean of Maya. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying with a challenge in the Vedas. In other words, we have to surrender to God. It's the only way. Surrender. Yo brahmanam viradhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tagvang hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshuravayi sharanamaham prapadye. Shvetashvatara Upanishad chapter 6 verse 18. The Vedas say, only the one who completely surrenders to God, to the spiritual master, can become free from Maya. Attain God. Not only Ved, many places, I just quoted a few, couple, many places in Vedas. Other scriptures too, Bhagavad Mahapuran, Shri Krishna is saying to Uddhav, Mamekam sharanam atmanam sarvadehinam yahi sarvatma bhavena yayasya hyakato bhayaha. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran, 11 canto, 12th chapter, 15th verse. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Uddhav, only if you surrender to me, only mamekam. Ev means only. Only to Shri Krishna. Alone. Will you become free from Maya? Otherwise, impossible. Impossible. So we have to surrender. In other words, this is a Bahar Mukhata. We have to do Sanmukhta. A right about turn, left about turn. That's all. The happiness we are searching for is right here. We don't have to go far. Bhagavan, Jivatma, both are sitting here in our heart. But this is the position. This is us. This is Jivatma, the individual soul. This is Bhagavan. All we need to do is to make a right about turn, left about turn. In other words, we have to face God. Sanmukhta. We have to surrender. Jagar Gurutam Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu says very beautifully in Radha Govind Geet, Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe O Radhe Radhe Everybody chant loudly. O Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe Radhe भवरोग औषधि, भवरोग औषधि गोविंद राधे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। औषधि गोविंद राधे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। भवरोग औषधि गोविंद राधे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। औषधि गोविंद राधे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। ओ भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। भगवान की सन्मुखता बता दे। ओ राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे। 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 हाँ, तो भाव रोग कारण, the cause of Bhavrog, all the diseases of Maya that's in the mind and that destroys us, the greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust, selfishness, infatuation, delusion, etc., etc. The cause, turn in Bhagavad ki bahar mukta, turning our backs away from God. And so, having forgotten who we are, Maya has taken hold of us. Now, Bhavrog Aushadhi. So this is a sickness, disease. We need the cure, the medicine. What's the cure? Aushadhi means the medicine, the cure. Bhavrog Aushadhi Govind Radhe. Bhagavan ki Sanmukhta Bata de. Jagat Gurutam Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu says the cure for the disease of the mind, disease of Maya, is to do Sanmukhta to God, to turn towards God. In other words, to surrender to God. I keep saying over and over, Jagat Gurutam Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu, although he is the fifth, only the fifth original Jagat Guru, or world teacher, and the highest amongst the five, he always would say, I am not here to teach any new religion, any new philosophy. I'm not teaching anything new. Whatever I'm telling you is exactly what the Vedas, the Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Darshan Shastra, all the scriptures are saying. A saint comes and gives us the true knowledge of the scriptures. The true knowledge. He doesn't teach anything new. We are under Maya. We read the scriptures with our material mind and intellect, and we give a material meaning. We're totally confused. So the saint comes along and he says, no, you're wrong. That's not what it's saying. It is saying this. That's what the saint does. Of course, whenever a saint does that, the entire world wants to kill him. Whenever the saints have come in the world, Tulsidas, Surdas, Meera, Tukaram, Nanak, Gaurang Mahaprabhu, Kripalu Mahaprabhu, what did we do in the world? Look at history. Whenever saints have come in this world, what did we do? Did we all run and fall at their feet and worship them? No. We curse, we criticize, crucify, poison, give them a bad name, throw them in jail, propaganda. You name it. What we did not do to the saints. Because of our pride, our abhiman, we think we know everything. And anybody comes and tells us different, get rid of him. Get rid of him. And ever saints, whenever they have come, look at history. Now, after they leave, then we start saying, Gaurang Mahaprabhu's dissension of Radha, Krishna, this was a saint, Tulsidas was a saint. Huh? You know when Tulsidas wrote that Ramayana that we love so much today, that we love and make a living, when he wrote the Ramayana, the Pandits of Kashi, they made so many attempts to kill Tulsidas and destroy that Ramayana. It's history. How many attempts was made to destroy the Ramayana of Tulsidas and kill him? And not worldly people. All because he wrote the Ramayana in Awadhi, the language of the people. How dare he do something like that? Meera, you've heard Meera Bai. We sing her bhajans today. Great devotee of Shri Krishna. Not strangers, her own in-laws. All because she sang for Krishna and danced for Krishna. They gave her poison. Poison, wish, telling her this is Amrit, nectar. They put a poisonous snake in the basket and sent it to her, telling her this was a garland for the Lord. Of course, the poison became nectar. The garland, the snake became a garland. But this is the history. We people in the world, we don't want to accept anyone. We read and we hear the importance of a guru, of a true guru, a saint, but it's very difficult. All because of abhiman. Uncountable times and uncountable lifetimes we have met uncountable saints. When Bhagavan has come in this world uncountable times, so it means we have also met saints, true God-realized souls, uncountable times. Then why have we not attained God? Why are we still under Maya, rotating in 8.4 million forms of life and suffering? Because we are never willing to accept anyone as a saint. There's Abhiman. I know everything. I don't listen to anybody. Abhiman, ego. So Kripalu Mahaprabhu says, I don't teach anything new. And this is proof, you see. He's saying exactly what the scriptures are saying. The cure is Sanmukhta. Baharmukta is the reason for all the diseases, the cause. Then the cure is Sanmukhta. To surrender. Sanmukhta means surrender completely to Bhagavan. All the Vedas, all the scriptures, Gita. Everywhere. You know, people say, you're talking about Maya, that Maya has made us forgotten who we are from beginningless time. The root cause is Maya. But there is nothing called Maya. It's an imagination. Those people who follow Shankaracharya, Advait philosophers, and many people also who don't even just read a little bit here and a little bit there, don't understand anything. If asked the question, what is Maya? They will tell you it's an imagination of the mind. It's not real. No. The Vedas, the highest authority are the Vedas. Because the Vedas are the words of Bhagavan himself. The Vedas are saying, Mayam tu prakritim vidyan mainam tu maheshwaram tasya veva bhutais tu vyaptam sarvamidam jagat. Shvetashvatara Upanishad chapter 4 verse 10. Maya is the power of God. Ved is saying, Mainam tu maheshwaram. Maya belongs to God, Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the governor of Maya. Maya is his power. Parasa shaktir vividhaiva shruyate swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Shvetashvatara Upanishad chapter 6 verse 8. Again, Maya is the power of God. Thousands of places. Bhagavad also. Tasya padam bhujadhyana dustara sutara bhavet. Bhagavad. Maya is the power of God. Gita, you all know. Shri Krishna makes it very clear in the Gita. Daivi hesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mame vaye prapadyante maya metantarantite. Chapter 7 verse 14 Gita. Bhagavan says, Maya is not an illusion. You Jnani, you are Dvaiti. Bhagavan says, Maya is a divine power, Daivi Hesha. And not only that, he says, Mama Maya, Meri Maya. Maya is a power that belongs to Shri Krishna. He is saying, Maya is his. Very clear in the Gita. So no one can cross Maya. No Jnani, no Rishi, no Muni Yogi by themselves. How to cross? Mame vaye prapadyante. Only the one who completely surrenders to Shri Krishna, Sanmukhta, can become free from Maya. The moment we completely surrender to Shri Krishna, he says to Maya, okay Maya, leave that one now, they belong to me, they are mine. Then Maya will go. Because it's his power. The Ramayana also says, Doha. सुदासी रघुवीर की समुझे मिथ्या सोपी हो रामा समुझे मिथ्या सोपी छुटे न राम कृपा बिनु नाथ कहूँ पद रोपी हो रामा नाथ कहूँ पद रोपी सियावर रामचंद्र कर जय शरणम शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम. Listen to Tuलसीदास जी Maharaj is saying, So dasi Raghuvir ki. He says, Maya is not an illusion. Maya is the dasi, the maid servant of Bhagavan, of God. Maid servant, dasi mean it's his power. Samujay mithya, don't call it mithya. It's not an imagination of the mind, it's not false. Arama kripa binu. Without the grace of Bhagavan, no one can become free from Maya. Ram Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Bolo Ram.
Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Bolo Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Bolo Ram.
Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
नाथ जीव तव माया मोहा सो निस्तर तुम्हारी ही छोहा बोलो
राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम
ओ मुधा भेद यद्यपि कृत माया बिनु हरि जाय न कोटि उपाया बोलो
राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम
बोलो राम सिया राम जय जय राम बोलो राम
सिया राम जय जय राम
नाथ जीव तव माया Maya, your power, tower, your Maya has deluded the individual souls. And only you can free them. Mudha bheda yadyapi krita Maya, but binu hari jay na koti upaya. You can try koti upay, thousands of tricks and tactics, do whatever you want. Maya is not going to let go of you by just saying it's an imagination of the mind. Without God's grace, Binu Hari Jai, without His grace, Kripa, Maya will not go. But as I said, the Gyanis, the non-dualists, do not accept such a thing called Maya. They say it's an imagination of the mind. Tulsidas ji is saying Maya is a dasi, made servant of Bhagavan, but we don't accept Tulsidas' philosophy. If you start talking Jagat Guru Shankaracharya philosophy, then we listen. Shankaracharya likens Maya to a piece of rope which is mistaken for a snake in the dark. Somebody's walking in the dark, there's a piece of rope coil, snake! Now you should ask Shankaracharya, is the rope real? He was saying this is an imagination of the mind. Where did you get the rope from? In fact, the Vedas tell us this world comprises of three things. Teen Tattva. Brahm, Jeev, Maya. God, the individual soul, and Maya. Shankaracharya accepts only one entity, God, Bhagavan, because for him Maya doesn't exist. Jagan Mithya is an imagination of the mind, and the individual soul is Bhagavan, Aham Brahmasmi. People chant, Shivoham, Shivoham, I am God, I am God. Really? You're Bhagavan. First understand, you're chanting Shivoham, Shivoham in every home and you don't even know what you are. Apne ko, you don't even know who you are. Shankaracharya says, just like an oyster shell, a seashell, seep, is mistaken for silver in the dark. Somebody's walking in the dark, there's oyster shell, seashell, he thinks it's silver. And the deer mistakes the flying sand in the midday sun of a desert for water, that mirage that is formed. In the same way, we have become confused and formed the illusion of Maya. Whatever we see is not real, it's our imagination. Hare Bhagavan. So all of you sitting here right now, you're imagining. You're imagining me. Jai Ho Shankaracharya. And all of us have the same imagination. All this camera, everything is imaginary. All the light, everything is imaginary. Can we imagine all these things? And everybody's imagining the same thing. First Shankaracharya came, then Tulsidas Ji Maharaj. Tulsidas Ji heard this philosophy of Shankaracharya and he says, ye kya hai? What is this? Anyhow, Shankaracharya is Jagat Guru. I'm not going to argue with him, but I have something to say. Listen to what Tulsidas Ji says. Doha. रजत सीप महुभास जिमि जथा भानु करवारी हो रामा जथा भानु करवारी तदपि मिशाति काल सुई भ्रम न सकई को उठारी हो रामा भ्रम न सकई को उठारी सियावर रामचंद्र कर जय शरणम शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम। रजत सीप महुभास जिमि जता भानु कर बारी तदपि मिशाति काल सोई भ्रम न सकई को उतारी। He says, Samay, Kal, time, in due course, in time, after some time, you will realize, you will recognize that this is only seashell, oyster shell, is not silver. In due course, you will recognize that this is only the flying sand in the midday sun of the desert, on the road. Something you're driving on the road, and it looks as that there is water. That mirage is formed. But when you go, there's no water. You will recognize that this is a mirage. But no one. If you say Maya is an illusion, Shankaracharya, Tulsidas Ji is saying, I won't argue with you if you call it a Brahm. Brahm means illusion. If you call it a Brahm, an illusion, I'm not going to argue with you. But no one, not even Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, can destroy that illusion, if it is an illusion, by self-effort. How can it be destroyed? जासु कृपा अस भ्रम मिटि जाई गिरिजा सोई कृपालु रघुराई जय राम श्री राम जय So, even if you call it a Brahm, an illusion, Ja sukripa asa Brahm miti jai, girija soi kripalu ragurai. Even if you call it a Brahm, an illusion, that illusion cannot be destroyed without Ram Kripa, without the grace of God, of Bhagavan. And how are we going to get the grace? We have to do Sanmukhta. That's the only way. We have to completely surrender to Bhagavan. And about what to surrender, how to surrender. Many so-called gurus, they tell the disciple, when you go to sleep, जब सोने जाते हैं, just say these mantra. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu, Ramarpanamastu. In other words, just say, the Lord is my sole refuge, I surrender to you. But this is words. Words. Words have no importance to God. It's like the person who drinks all night long. One of the greatest sin, there are 5 mahapap, great sins. There are many, thousands, but there are 5 mahapap, great sin. And the greatest one, drinking daru, drinking alcohol. Greatest sin in the 5. The pap, mahapap, Ved is saying. So the person drinks all night long. Sham ko khoob si pi, sham ko khoob si pi, subha ko toba kar li, subha ko toba kar li, rind ke rind rahe, rind ke rind rahe, haath se jannat na gayi, haath se jannat na gayi. He drinks all night long. And in the morning he begs for forgiveness, Toba. Bhagwan, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I won't do it again. He drinks. Please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This word sorry, useless. It's etiquette, to be civilized. I'm sorry. Nobody is sorry. If we are truly sorry, we wouldn't do that, make that mistake again. There's a way to say, thank you, I am sorry. So he begs for forgiveness, but he doesn't give up the drinking. In this way, he doesn't have to give up his drinking habit, the sinful action, and he also doesn't lose the opportunity to go to heaven, Jannat. Just saying doesn't mean anything. Words have no importance to God. So how to surrender? This is greatly misunderstood. What to surrender? Is it to be done ceremoniously, physically? By chanting mantra, etc.? No. First, let's understand who or what is the performer of our action. Is it the hand? What does God note? Does He note what we do with the hand? You're doing puja. You're doing put sindoor, put akshat, put haldi. Is it the hand? That's what God knows. How many times you put sindoor, how many times you put the fruit, how many times you put water, or how nice you can chant the mantra. Does Bhagavan have a language problem? That you have to speak Sanskrit and He will listen? Supposing I say in the Trinidad way, oh Lord, I love you too bad. He won't listen? Huh? If I speak to God in Spanish or French or Italian, He won't listen? That I have to speak Sanskrit? Then He will listen. Then the people who are dumb, who can't even speak, they will have a strike. Hartal, they have a strike. Hey, Bhagavan, we strike against you. Bhagavan says, why? Because your condition for attaining you to surrender is that we have to say Sanskrit mantra. Are bhaiya, we can't even speak. Gunga hu, gunga. Bhagavan says, there's only one language I listen to. One language. The language of the heart, the mind. Hey sunta. I don't listen to words. Whether you can speak Sanskrit or you can't speak, or you can speak Trini or Guyanese, or it doesn't matter. The heart, the mind. The mind alone is the performer of the action. Ved saying, Man eva manushyanam karnam bandha mokshayoho Brahma Bindu Upanishad. Second mantra. The Vedas say, listen carefully, I'll translate every letter in this Sanskrit mantra. Man. Man means the mind. Ev, alone. Manushyanam, human beings. Karnam is the cause. Bandhan of bondage. Moksha, liberation. The mind alone, not the sense, not the physical sense organs, not the action we do physically. The mind alone, the Vedas are the highest authority. Bhagavan is saying, the mind alone is the cause of bondage as well as liberation. In other words, the mind is the performer of the actions, not the sense organs. All the responsibility lies with the mind alone. This is why all the rishis and munis have taken hold of the mind. Bhagavan Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita, Mayyeva mana adhasva may buddhim niveshaya. Chapter 12, verse 8, Gita. Arjun, give your mind and intellect alone to me. Bhagavan didn't ask for action. Give your mind and intellect. In other words, when it comes to Guru, to the true Guru, the saint, when it comes to what the scripture says to Bhagavan, do not apply your mind and intellect. This is not like something you can give and take it back. Ab de diya or le liya. People do sometimes, they give and then, give me back. Ab daan de diya, you have given charity dhyan and you take it back. Somebody is doing Godan. Pandit Cheta Maharaj is going to do Godan in a few days. So he's given Godan. This is not Panditji example. He's going to do Godan. Somebody's given Godan. So he gives the Dan to this Pandit. He says, Panditji, look, I'm giving you this cow. In Dan, charity. You now the owner of this cow. But on one condition. When this cow will give birth to a calf and start giving milk, you have to milk all the milk and give it to me. So what is the use of the cow? I'm giving you the cow. But when the cow gives birth to a calf and is given milk, milk all the milk and give it to me. No, not that kind of dhan. We have to completely surrender the mind, the intellect. Just like when you went to school and the teacher said, today we are going to spell knife. Students, today we are going to spell knife. So I want you to write on the board, I want you to write in your book like I'm writing on the board. Put K first. Put K, N, I, F, E. Did anybody object and say, no, sir, you should put N first? Why put K? Knife, knife. No, we accepted. We surrendered. Whatever the teacher, and be able to eventually go to university and get the degree. Somebody refused. I'm not going to listen. This teacher is foolish. He put K and knife. I'm not going back to school. Then you never learn anything. So we have to surrender the mind, the intellect. This is what surrender means. Give your mind and intellect. You see, God knows our thoughts and ideas alone. If our mind and intellect is attached to God, then we can do everything wrong physically in the world. Bhagavan will not note. Because the mind is attached to Bhagavan. This is what he says in Gita. The whole Gita is given in one line. The whole Gita, the gist of the whole Gita is given in one verse in the Gita, one line. Want to hear it? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha. Chapter 8 verse 7 Gita. If there's anything in any other scripture teaching you something different, then show me. Besides this, all the scriptures, the whole Gita, this is the essential thing is teaching. This is what is teaching. Thus, Arjun, tasmat sarveshu, at all place, sarveshu, kaleshu, at all time, every moment. Mamanusmara, remember me, attach your mind, your heart to me lovingly. Bhakti. Or yudhya cha. You are kshatri, a warrior. Your duty is to fight the war. This is what the meaning of Karma Yoga is. People say Gita teaches Karma Yoga. How many people understand what is the meaning of Karma Yoga? Bhakti plus duty, karma, dharma, that is Karma Yoga. Karma alone will give us heaven, swarg. Useless. After going, we have to come back here and suffer. But if we add bhakti to karma, it becomes Karma Yoga, which will give us God realization. We never have to come back here. This is what Shri Krishna is teaching. At all place and all time, attach your mind and intellect to the Lord. Lovingly surrender the mind and intellect and do your duty in the world. That is karma. Karma plus attaching our heart, our mind to God, that is bhakti with love. That is bhakti. Bhakti plus karma, that is Karma Yoga. Maya arpitamano buddhir mame vaivasya sanshayaha. The second line of the same verse, chapter 8, verse 7 says, Arjun, if your mind and intellect is attached to me like that, you will certainly come to me, Arjun. There is no doubt about it. You can read it. Chapter 8, verse 7, Gita. You see, if our mind and intellect is attached to God and God knows only where the mind and intellect is, then, and He's not noting the physical action, only where the mind is, then we'll get the fruit of the mind. In other words, we get the fruit of bhakti alone. That's all we'll get. That is the Sanmukhta. Surrender and completely surrender the mind and intellect. That is the cure. That is the Aushadhi. So this is the reason for all diseases of the Maya, all the diseases of the mind. Bahar-mukhata. We have turned our backs away from God, looking for happiness in the material world where it cannot be found. All because of identifying with the body, we have forgotten we are the soul, the Atma. And Maya has taken hold of us, so we suffer from all the diseases of Maya. Greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust, selfishness, delusion, infatuation. Name it. What is the cure? What is the medicine? Sanmukhta. So, Bhavrog Karan Govind Radhe, भगवद बहर मुखता है बता दे. Radha Govind Geet, Jagar Gurutam, Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu. The cause of all diseases of Maya, of the mind, is of turning our back away from God. और Bhavrog Aushadhi, the cure, the medicine. Bhavrog Aushadhi Govind Radhe, Bhagavan ki Sanmukhta Bata de. Radha Govind Geet, Jagar Gurutam Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu. The cure, the medicine is to do Sanmukhta, to do right about turn, left about turn. In other words, completely surrender to Bhagavan. We'll become free from Maya, and no disease of Maya will ever affect us ever again. There's much more we'll hear another time. Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki jai, Radha Rani ki jai. Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Wait, Vashisht. Okay, so before you take it off, let me just mention all the a lot of sponsors. So before we go off, please take note of all the sponsors, both Bhakti TV and Sankhya TV. The main sponsor for tonight was Ravi's Hot Pot and Catering, number 65 Orange Grove Road, St. Augustine. Larry, Lala and Family. Yama's Roti Delight, Level 2, Twin City Mall. Point Lisa Steel Products. Docks Engineering. Chase Village Auto Supplies. Roger Ramdhani Auto Chem. Singh's Doubles of Debe Pinal, The Little Stall Limited, Quality Cash and Carry Supermarkets, 3 branches, Gopinath Puja Supplies and Veg Mart, number 230 Kakandi Road, Felicity, Mickey's Auto Garage, Orangefield Road, Richard Sealin Supplies and Installation, and lastly and not least and not last, Videsh Drive-In School of Central Trinidad. So we want to thank all our sponsors for their wonderful, kind donation and sponsorship, through which means this lecture and this divine philosophy is going throughout the world. So many souls are benefiting through the medium of Bhakti TV. We want to thank Bhakti TV also and Pandit Satyanand Maharaj. And of course also Sankhya TV. Tonight we had Shirley and Ramesh, the controls. We want to thank them. Haven't seen them in a long time. It's wonderful seeing them again. We want to thank all our sponsors. May the Supreme Lord shower His choicest blessings on all of them, and may they continue in their wonderful work. At this time, we will hand over to Panditji. Before we hand over to Panditji,